Hi everyone, this is Callie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have two cards using the Cozy Autumn Hugs and Autumn Frame Set from Simon Says Stamp's latest card kit. This kit is for November 2023, and these fall foliage come two different ways, in a stamp set and a stencil set. And I don't think that you can tell just at a glance which ones they are. So let's take a look at the products from this kit and then we'll dive into crafting. Here are the two sets, the stamp and stencil set. And as you can see, the foliage is similar to each other in size and in shape. Next up, we have the Wistful Leaves embossing folder, and then we have a small embossing folder that also cuts out a moon shape at the center. So there's a little die in there. And then we have these fun label tag dies and also some patterned paper, of course. We're going to be using this as well on our cards for a small mat. And last but not least, we have a fabulous, fun new product from Simon Says Stamp. This is the Positively Perfect Craft Pad. I'm sure there are lots of creative ways to use this craft pad, but for me, what I have in mind is for piercing. So this Place and Pierce tool in the card kit is a perfect companion for it. And if you like to stamp with acrylic blocks, this is going to be great for stamping great impressions. And I just use one side for piercing and the other side for stamping. Okay, and last but not least, we have 3 pieces of cardstock, one in burnt orange, soft navy, and a piece of Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock. Now to get started on my cards, I'm going to be doing the stencil first. I have a white card panel on my stamp and stencil mat, and I've lined up my first layer of my stencil. Now I'm going to use some browns for the acorns, and then I'll move to greens for some of the foliage. I'm going to apply some color, but not fully covering all of the leaves. Every leaf on this layer is going to have at least 2 colors. So when I'm done with the green, I'm going to go in with yellow and add yellow to the tips of all of the greens. I think this gradient and change in colors for fall foliage is really going to kick your ink blending up a notch and give it additional interest. That gradient makes everything super pretty. And as you can see, I did color some of the foliage yellow as well so that I can go in and introduce orange as well. Then to finish off this stencil layer, I'm going to use some taffy ink and go over some of those orange to red leaves as well as cover all of the berries on this layer. Then I'll peel that away and then use my second layer. And for those orange to red leaves, I'm going to use the same taffy color and work on the veins on this layer. And then for the greens to yellows, I'm going to be using this brown color. This is the same color I used on the first layer, and so I'm just going to use a heavier hand on this layer to intensify those darker shades. So that finishes the stenciled card panel. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside so we can work on the stamped card. I'm going to block off the center portion of this card with some Post-it tape because I want to create a split design. I felt that the sentiments on this stamp set would be perfect going across the panel at the center, and then we can make the leaves spray out from there. I'm using the same colors as I did for my stenciled card, and what I'm going to do is just flip the card and rotate so that I have an equal split design on both sides. In order to create a gradient from color to color, I usually use a finger dauber. Today, I'm going to use these fun new sponge applicators. I like that there is a handle, and I feel like the round sponge at the end gives it a little bit more bounce. So I am applying some taffy ink to the bottoms of these leaves just in the bottom half and then stamping it. And then you can repeat the process until you're happy with that blend. Again, I'm using that same taffy ink for the veins, and I'll keep repeating this step until I like what my spray looks like and create a full foliage spray on top and bottom. So now moving on to the yellow and greens. Again, I'm applying green to the centers, bottoms, wherever you want that gradient to begin. And then it really creates this nice gradient from color to color. Again, on the stems, I'm using brown. And then I'm going to add a few berry stems here and then finish off with some taffy ink on the berries for this card. So here we can take a look at the 2 panels side by side, and you can see that the colors coordinate and they almost look identical, and you can't really tell at first glance which is ink blended and which is stamped. Before adding a sentiment, I want to splatter my cards here with some red ink as well as some gold ink to give it some additional interest and texture. These are pretty much single layer cards, so I want to do everything I can to give them some texture. Now, once my paint has dried, I'm going to remove that center mask from my stamped panel, and then I'm going to stamp a sentiment at the center using a crisp black ink for that sentiment. And then I also stamp a sentiment on my frame for the autumn frame. I usually trim down my panels anyway, but for this particular card, I needed to trim a 1/4 inch at least off all of the sides because our patterned paper is 4 by 6. So I'm trimming that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the panels onto the patterned paper and then adhere them onto card bases. So there is a patterned paper mat as well as a white mat around the panels. And that finishes our 2 cards. What do you think? I think that it's hard to tell which one is stamped and which one is stenciled just at a glance. I think it's so much fun that these 2 products coordinate, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out my blog where all the details for the colors will be listed for your convenience. Thanks so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.